Hi, I'm Mike Peterson from Brown Harris Stevens. The Hamptons runs on relationships, and over the years, I've built a network of top-tier professionals who operate at the highest level. Mic Hamptons is your access point to that world, the people, the insights, and the opportunities behind it all. Welcome to another episode of the Mic Hamptons podcast. My name is Michael Peterson. I am a realtor with Brown Harris Stevens in the Hamptons, and I am the president of the HNG Networking Group, which is the Hamptons Networking Group. HNGLI is our website. We are currently about 30 odd professionals servicing the Hamptons. The idea is that we all help each other out. So I sell real estate, there's an attorney, we have a master plumber, electrician, etc. And now, recently, our latest and greatest addition to the group is Lana Wear from HomeWear Design.
You got it. Yeah. Wear spelled like my last name, W-E-A-R.
Okay, cool. So thank you for joining us today. I guess I'm going to start off with asking you, how did you get into home design?
So I have a bit of a unique background, actually, to get into home staging. I had a whole corporate career, but real estate has always been my great love. Since the time I was a child and my parents were buying and selling, renovating properties, my mom and I would lay out the furniture and pick out where every outlet was going to be. So nice. I've had a lifelong love and passion for real estate, but I did have a whole corporate career. I also was buying and flipping properties on the side. So I have this very varied background, which I think actually has a really positive impact on my staging business, because when I walk into a property, I'm not thinking about furniture. I'm thinking about how can I maximize ROI for this seller, and what story does this space need to tell in order to do so. And I think a lot of people think of home staging as just placing beautiful furniture. And it does make a space beautiful, but it's so much more than that. It's really about making a buyer feel something. And, that's really what our remit is. In fact, up to 95% of purchasing decisions are made via emotional, not logical decisions. So it's huge.
Along those lines, last week, so we all get together as a group once a week. There's one seat per profession. We go around the room and kind of either share an interesting story or a tidbit, or if there's a rule change or what have you. We all try to enlighten each other about our businesses, and it makes it really easy for me as a realtor to. I'm constantly engaging with folks that are. I need a so and so. I need a him. I need a her. I need a this. I need a that. So. But last week in particular, I remember you being very animated about a recent sale of an apartment in New York City that you came in after it had been on the market for a while. And I don't want to steal your thunder. I was pretty excited about it.
Yeah, the one where we had been on the market for a few months, and it had the renter's furniture in it and then the homeowner's furniture. Yeah, so that was a great one. It had been on the market for several months, and consistently buyers were coming in and saying the space felt really small, and they just couldn't figure out how to lay out their furniture. Was it really functional? So the way we always approach staging is by starting by asking questions. So we asked, what were those prospective buyers saying? What were they wanting the space to be? We do broader market research and dig into the neighborhood. And based on that, we really designed it for that target buyer. And in this space in particular, we wanted to focus on flow, functionality, making sure it really told a lifestyle story. And long story short, it ended up getting 2 offers from the very first weekend after we staged it. And there you go. It works. And interestingly, one of those buyers had been to the property previously.
Right.
And neither recognized it nor had been interested in it at the time. So same property, same square footage, completely different perception, and also a really different outcome for the seller, which is great.
So I think what sets our group apart from a lot of the other networking groups that are in existence out there, we are one seat per profession, but we do always invite, I certainly encourage it, our competitors to come and speak as well. Everybody wants to meet each other. And obviously, I'm the real estate seat, but I invite other realtors in. And it sounds like if I was a realtor tuned into this, I'd want to be speaking to you. So I call it co-opetition, but we all are, we're all in this together. And, at the end of the day, we're looking out for a client's best interest. That's it. So whether it's my client or someone else's, they could benefit. I've seen your work. It's great. So,
Thank you.
yay. It's all good.
Yeah, I come from that abundance mindset as well. There's enough business to go around. And I feel like if we support and learn
1000%.
from each other, we all get so much further than if we take that really competitive mindset.
And just to clarify, you are in both Manhattan and in the Hamptons.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
You got it.
Or I'm assuming anywhere on Long Island as well, if somebody wanted.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had a couple questions that kind of I pre-gamed on, thinking like about having you here and what we could discuss. And so, we touched on this a little bit, but for anyone who doesn't know you, what exactly do you do? What makes your approach different? And I know that you do this with, your husband, your partners in this. Maybe you could elaborate on that just a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are a husband and wife team, always a marriage tester, but we actually love working together, and we met through real estate.
Nice.
We were both agents, and that's right out of college. I met him. That's how we ended up together. So we have that shared passion together. And while I was in corporate, we had started buying and flipping properties and discovered that, wow, staging makes such an incredible impact. The difference was astounding to us. And we really wanted to bring that to other homeowners. So we started the home staging business. He's still in real estate. I decided to leave corporate and do the real estate full time. So I think that perspective too really makes a difference, because we do have the lens of real estate agent. We have the lens of real estate investor.
Yeah.
So we are coming at it from a business perspective, but we do also appreciate the design and the style and telling that story through the design.
Nice. I thought about you. So Chris Beninati, who's in the group, he works for Heritage Financial. But,
He's great.
He's great, and he's just very proactive and always thinking about everybody else. And so he has a friend that he grew up in the Hamptons. He has a friend that grew up in the Hamptons, and she's got involved in flipping houses. And he gave me a call to speak with her last week. And she's had a property that she purchased, and she did all the work on the house.
Nice.
And it looks great. Kind of a turn of the century farmhouse. Looks amazing.
Love historic properties. They're my favorite.
And this one's oozing, and it's really super cool. But you go inside, and my first thought, she brought me in because it's not selling. So it's been sitting on the market, in a market where there's limited inventory. If something's not selling, there's a reason. It's priced too high, or it's not staged correctly, or what have you. And in this case, even just looking at the pictures, like, there's like, that furniture doesn't fit. There's not a single plant in the place, or no artwork on the wall. Like, we really need to, I'm hoping that she's going to solicit me to represent her, but I just sat there and said, this is the person you need to be engaged with right now. So I'm hoping that works out. But
That'd be amazing.
It was it is really important when you walk into a place, like, how do you envision yourself in it? And I think that's
exactly.
I would deal with that all the time, even if there are a variety of ways to think about this too. Like, people buy, like you said, fix and flip. I know there's a couple that's kind of on social media quite a bit in the Hamptons that do this.
I think I know the one you're talking about.
And great. Good. We all fix up properties, sell them, and we engage with a variety of folks. But just rethink. Like, sometimes you just walk in a room, it's like the walls are painted the wrong color. Boy, wouldn't that kitchen look a whole lot better with just a new countertop? Or, there's simple things, and then when the furniture is completely wrong in a place, it throws it, and maybe the house was built 20 years ago and things have changed. You don't necessarily have to change everything, but what you do is crushingly important. So
It's amazing the difference those small tweaks can make. And I mean, really,
absolutely.
staging is almost applied psychology. We have these shortcuts, these heuristics that our brain takes. So they call it thin slicing, where your brain is able to make these really, really quick snap decisions, which is fantastic in our day-to-day life. But it means when people are coming into a property, they're making really fast snap decisions based on cleanliness, layout, functionality, flow.
So I was going over some questions, kind of pre-gaming, getting you in here today, and what to think about, what to ask and what do people want to learn more about. And one of the things that kind of touched on this a little bit before, but for anyone who doesn't know you, what exactly do you do, and what makes your approach different from all your competitors, and as best you can?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think my background is a big part of what makes us different. I've mentioned that my husband's also in the business with me. We both have real estate sales experience. I also have a corporate background where I was negotiating very large scale deals. And so I do have that background in deal dynamics and working with executive clientele as well. But I think the real estate perspective and approaching it from the lens of maximizing ROI is really something that sets us apart. So when I walk into a property, not thinking about furniture, but thinking about maximizing the sale for the seller and the story that space needs to tell in order to do so.
Yeah, I love the fact that you in particular, and your husband, but that you have a real estate background in sales, and so you understand what the pain points, pressure points. I mean, it's yes, real estate it's an asset, but it's also someone's home. So it's understanding, both sides of the equation is often, there's a lot to it.
There is, yeah.
So moving on, I'm going to ask you, do you have, so why do you think staging is still so underutilized?
So it's amazing to me. Something like 80% of properties still hit the market unstaged. And I think a big part of that is this perception that home staging is purely aesthetic rather than financial. But when you actually study the numbers, and we keep very, very strict data. I'm a big data nerd. I want to be able to actually tell people, like, not just anecdotally, but actually, here's how impactful our staging is. And we have found that our properties sell about 70% faster, which obviously reduces holding costs, and a few percentage points over ask on average.
Okay.
So if you're talking about a $3 million home in the Hamptons, right off the bat, that's $90,000. And if you take into consideration the listing discount, as it stands right now, that would be about a $270,000 swing. So, I ask people, and I'll ask you, Mike, if I told you that you could give me $50,000 and I could turn it into $250,000 in a matter of weeks, is that a deal you'd take?
Nah. Of course.
There you go.
It's silly not to, right?
There's my case for home staging. It really is that impactful. And you don't even have to take my word for it. The Real Estate Staging Association and the National Association of Realtors both keep some pretty great data around staging. And they find some pretty similar outcomes with ROIs, sometimes in the thousands. So it truly does have that kind of impact.
No question about it. This is my personal curiosity. So you have to keep in mind, again, most of my buyers, most of the people that I'm engaged with are coming from New York City. They're professionals, again, largely in financial services, but could be anything. They're champions of what they do. Obviously, they're buying a nice home in the Hamptons. That being said, when you walk into a perfectly staged house, I see it all the time where people say, I want the house, I want it exactly as it is, and I want everything that's in it to come with me. How often does that happen to you? And how do you deal with that?
More often than I anticipated, actually, to give you an honest answer. I didn't expect it to happen quite as much as it does. And it's a good thing in that it keeps our inventory turning over quickly. And so our inventory is often new and fresh, and we're not, reusing it over and over. It doesn't look the same in photos. So from that perspective, it's fantastic. But it also means that it keeps me on my toes because I'm constantly having to have my eyes peeled. But we do sell turnkey properties. So if a buyer would like to purchase it fully furnished, they are able to do so and just make the purchase from us. And that's something we tell our real estate agent partners as well, that they can advertise it sold either as is or fully furnished. So it becomes a selling point for someone who does want that turnkey experience.
So usually as a realtor, I've been told, and I've learned the hard way about this as well, that we sell houses. We sell, commercial properties, whatever. But we always, we negotiate the house, and then the furniture is something we have as a secondary conversation. And I've had people now a few times where it's worked out and a few times where it hasn't. And I had one in particular in East Hampton. It was, approximately $5 million purchase, a little bit more. And he wanted to just get off the plane when he arrives and put his key in the front door and start drinking rosé. Great. And I get it. So he wanted everything in the house. So, we get to a point where we have to start going back and forth about, well, minus all the personal effects. Well, what are those? And you document everything in the house. And the deal fell apart in the 11th hour. He actually signed the contract and then decided not to purchase because, whether this was the real reason or not, but, and the claim was there were 2 lamps in the master bedroom.
No.
That really, I looked at them, they were really nice. I feel like if I had done a little digging, I could have found them on my own, but it became this, it all happened so quickly. It just was so insistent upon these lamps. I'm like, well, those are lamps that my sister gave me. Well, I don't care. I want those, and vanished.
No.
So, crazy things happen sometimes.
Real estate's a wild world. I just had a really similar situation where the buyer wanted to purchase the furniture but didn't want to pay for it. And of course, it's a totally separate transaction than the real estate transaction, but he didn't view it that way. So it was a really interesting situation. It was actually the first time I was cold called by both his agent, and actually the buyer himself. And interestingly, though, the conversation with the buyer directly is what unlocked that situation, because I was able to talk about the business, but also intelligently about his real estate purchase and the value of that property and what a great purchase it was and the view and all these things, because I do have that real estate background and I did know what the property was worth and he was getting a great deal. And so literally right after I hung up, he called the seller's agent and said, accepted offer, we're moving forward and we'll deal with the furniture separately.
Awesome.
So
everybody's happy.
Yeah, I think again, going back to that background, I think it's nice that my agent partners can feel confident putting me in front of a buyer, even if it's not their plan. I mean, the agent certainly didn't plan to have me talk to them directly, but it happened. And so I do appreciate that I'm able to have those conversations and hopefully move the deal forward for the agents and for the sellers who are our ultimate clients.
This is about you, but I'm going to touch on me for a second because you talked about geeking out over numbers. I'm the same thing. My background's finance.
Yeah.
I used to work for a mom and pop in the Hamptons. Now I work for Brown Harris Stevens, and this is just a shout out to my company that we are the only agency in the Hamptons. This is true, that we have our own full-time economist, which is great. So it's
I love that. Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, we put out really thoughtful information. My whole goal with it is I send it to a list of folks whenever it's published, quarterly, semi-annually, annually. But we I think that's a key differentiator for us. That's number one. And
I'd love to be on that mailing list, by the way.
I should be actually on it, but I'll double check that.
Thank you.
And then, and the other thing, I'm going to boggle this, but I know that the statistic is correct. Brown Harris Stevens gets the highest. I think it's in the United States. We have the highest sale price on average of any agency in the United States. This came out in a meeting the other day. I was like, oh my goodness. And of course, they all want us to talk about that.
Well, sure. Yeah. I actually say to my clients, there are sort of 3 main things that will impact your sale. It's presentation, it's pricing, and it's representation. And your representation almost dictates all of those other things. So if you have strong, knowledgeable representation, they can support you with the pricing, with making sure you have the right people coming in to make improvements on the property or staging, whatever the case may be that property needs. So it's huge. And it's not a decision to take lightly.
Agreed.
I thought you might agree with me on that one.
So, I guess, so how can I be of help? How can this audience be of help? Just in general, who are you looking to work with right now? What's your ideal customer client base look like?
Yeah, so we started out in the city. We've now added the Hamptons. We actually moved out here, so we're sort of part of that community now, and I'd love to do more work out here. But really, anyone who thinks about real estate as a product and a business are our great clients. So it's investors, agents are great contacts for us, and homeowners who are really wanting to be conscious about the way in which they're presenting their property. We do resale properties, but we also work on short-term rentals, model units, basically anywhere great design can have a meaningful impact on ROI. We also, this is worth mentioning since we'll have this audience, hopefully local audience watching, we love partnering with local businesses.
Great.
So we work with local makers and artists and love to put their products in our projects. And it adds this texture and authenticity in a way that, something purchased from a big box store can't do. So would love to connect with them as well.
And so maybe if you started some of these collaborations, you could actually bring them onto the Mic Hamptons podcast as well.
There you go. Highlight both businesses.
As a segue. So we are coming to the end of our time, but I'm going to ask you to tell everybody how they can get in touch with you specifically.
Yes, absolutely. Well, our website is homeweardesigns.com. Just keep in mind it's spelled like my last name, W-E-A-R. And you're welcome to reach out via email or phone anytime. All of that is listed on the website, but it's just lana.wear@homeweardesigns.com. I look forward to speaking with you. And I thank you so much for taking the time, Mike. This was great.
It was my absolute pleasure. And thank you for joining the group. You've already been an asset for everybody, which is lovely. So we meet every Thursday morning in Hampton Bays at the American Legion Hall. So we love to have guests, and it's a nice community of folks. And so thank you again for tuning into another episode of the Mic Hamptons podcast. If you ever need any information, please reach out, and we can get you connected. At the end of the day, I know a guy and a gal, and we'll see you on the next episode. Hey, this is Michael. Thanks for listening to Mic Hamptons, powered by the Hamptons Networking Group, where the right people make the right things happen. If you're planning anything in the Hamptons, buying, selling, building, hosting, or investing, don't do it alone. Tap into our network of vetted, top-tier service providers who get things done at the highest level. And if real estate is part of your plan, I bring deep knowledge, strong network, and a track record of getting deals done the right way. Reach out anytime. We'll see you on the next one. You can call, text, or DM me right now, or visit my website to get connected. I work with a tight network, and the best deals go to the people who move first. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you on the next deal. Keep making moves.